That's why imagination, as far as TV goes, is so amazing. We make all these movies about people having these abilities that we can go for the answers. Well, the answers are within you. That's Kung Fu. That's the first part of the journey. That's the material. And the substance is the Shaolin, you know? And that's the open. That's where you're constantly growing. The idea of internal is to discover your authentic self, to present that and to project it. And all energy is, and what causes a knockout, there's 3 types of knockouts, right? Your brain floats on fluid. You get hit in the head, the brain hits the skull, then it knocks you out. The other is extreme pain, right? When you get into so much pain that you get knocked out. Some people who have extreme pleasure also get knocked out. You know, when they get to the point where the pleasure is so much it gets knocked out. It's the same type of thing when we talk about pain management, you know, where that comes into play. But the real knockout is when the body goes through a shock. In other words, I hit you somewhere and I hit you somewhere else, and the body goes into like a shock. And that shock sends signals to your brain, and your brain shuts down because it thinks it's going to die, and it knocks you out. And basically, what Qi or internal powers is, if I have 100% of my energy, both physical and invisible, and he has 100% of his energy, both physical and invisible. The difference between a person that understands internal arts is that it's not invisible. You understand it. But it's all, you has to deal with the body. And I think the problem with society is that we're always trying to separate the body. You need the body. You need to understand it. Or at least come close with it. I could have a cancer in me right now and not know it. And it could be killing me and I'll be here today and gone tomorrow. So our bodies are a mystery. Without it, we don't have the journey either. So you need it. You need to have that body. So when that hits, and the internal also comes down with understanding how to core, how to root, how to breathe. All these mechanistics, all these mechanics have to come into play to help aid the Qi, to help aid the internal. But what that is, it's like an energy field, because we're all made up of energy, hitting another energy field and overloading that field. It's like shooting a gamma ray, you know, into his body and making him radioactive because he can't handle it anymore, and it shoots out an atom, and that atom shoots out and he becomes radioactive. You know, I just put gamma rays in him, and that's it. Now I have radioactive material. And all I'm doing is, bam, I'm hitting that with the same internal instincts, and it's inside the hit. And it's a whole different level of combat. It's a whole different level of expression. And that is basically my energy field overloading your energy field, along with body mechanics and proper breathing and experience. That's the Kung Fu. You have a tank coming at you, a man who's extremely large coming at you, and he's coming out to hurt you. You have to understand how to stand, where to project that. And that is not done in a ring. It's only done in Mortal Kombat. But you can express it. There are ways of demonstrating, I do it all the time, to all levels of fighters of combat. And once they see it, they do understand it. You know, yeah, I understand. And the concept of it is that I grew up.
What do you mean with the demonstration?
Well, you know, I would stand in front of the individual, and they would make a couple of moves and tactics, and I would move, and I would just touch them, and they would feel the power in that, and what that feels like, and they just go, whoa. And that's just a touch. You know, how are you doing that? Is there some magic behind it? Especially, you know, guys that have, you know, they're massive men, you know, that fight all the time. They're, you know, just really tough people. And it's funny when, and they're tough in the rings, they're tough in there, but when they really want to learn, it's completely different. You know, when we're not putting on a show, when it's just, you know, spirit to spirit, soul to soul, energy to energy. You know, everybody wants to know something more about themselves. It's not that, you know, you have to discover that you have the keys. That's what I mean, to discover your authentic self, to be authentic. So when you stand there and you're in front of somebody like that, let me show you, and I just do a couple of moves on them, and they go, Well, what is that? Is that magic? Is that, did you meditate in a room for all these years? Did you, do you float in a closet, when he's looking? No, it's just, it has nothing to do with that. It's just self-discovery. It's becoming hypersensitive to what you already possess.
But how do you do that? I mean, you're training, right?
You have to have first, your training is mechanics and understanding through your breathing, your core. You need your body. And you need to understand your body, whatever that means. So in other words, like the first aspect of that training would be first coming into a realization of what your element, or what you think your element is. So say you feel that you have more fire, but it may be only that day, because it's a lot of discovering what goes on. And of course you are of all those elements, but say your major, I always thought that my major element was wood. Because one of the things that wood possesses is, it's like a big tree that likes to keep everything in the shade. So it has a lot of compassion wood. And I feel that I've always been that of the heart, though I'm ruthless as well. But I have more compassion, but I can be very ruthless if it means to, like if somebody come in and I need to take action, I can be ruthless in that action. So I can be very aggressive when needs to be, like a Dr. Jekyll and a Mr. Hyde. But wood just stretches. It's wise. It grows very slow and it moves around things. And I always thought that my main element was wood. So I always started first with that concept of what wood represented to me, and then introduced other elements into it. Understanding what my body is telling me physically, through forms, through different types of training, whatever that may be. Not just by taking an aspect of just short movements or combat movements, but really over the years amalgamating and understanding my movement through different types of forms. And there was a time in my life when I had over 48 forms. And I cut them down to what I teach now, to about 18 forms. And I have 2 forms that I've developed that nobody has seen. Well, one with the umbrella that we work with a little bit, that's kind of fun for me. Just a fun thing to put in and play with. And then there's the fight form, which is something I've never shown anybody yet, because nobody, I believe, deserves it yet. And when I show them that means you really have gotten a complete system, I would say, with the systems within systems of all the techniques that I've used mechanically throughout my career that have worked for me, that I've incorporated in form work. But the forms really get the mind to melt through the body. The idea of forms physically is the best form of exercise on the planet. But the other idea is to discover your movement. And each year that goes by, you discover more of your movement. So your mind connects with your left hand consciousness and your right hand consciousness, connects with your left side of your body, your right side of your body, your lower half, your upper half. It connects. The more you do forms, the more you're practicing meditation and motion. Then there comes your breathing, and your breathing techniques, which you incorporate in every day of your life. So in your motion, in your movement, and everything that you do, eventually you have to become mindful. So now that I'm just thinking about it, my breathing just changed. When I'm not thinking about it, my breathing is maybe more here. But when I think about it, which is constant, I try. But you lose it. You're talking, you're having a conversation. My breathing just went down. So right away I go into my roots, where I began, where it all started. And Chi is having faith. But the difference with it is when I hit you with it, it's more than that. And that's the connection. But you have to believe in your authentic self. You have to believe in the energies that created you, not in something that's out there.